Yeah, I don't have my normal speech, but I'll just have to wing it.
This is going to be exciting day.
Yeah, it is. All right, everybody ready? All right, welcome everybody to the June 22nd meeting of the West Springfield Conservation Commission. My name is Kevin Cote. I'll be the chair presiding tonight. I need to inform anyone, if you're intending to tape the meeting tonight, you need to come forward and let us know. The commission is videotaping tonight's meeting. It'll be broadcast on cable access television as well as live stream computer applications and social media sites. The way we'll run the meeting tonight will be our project proponents will come up, talk about the project. Myself and members of the commission will ask questions, and then we'll take comments from the general public. We just ask that those be limited to 2 to 3 minutes. All right, so I'm going to have each member of the commission introduce themselves for the record, starting with Melissa.
Melissa Henson.
Judy LaFleche.
Danny Hanoush.
John Goddard.
And again, I'm Kevin Cote, chair. All right. Let's move forward with our agenda. Has everyone had a chance to take a look at the agenda? And if so, is there a motion to accept?
I move to accept the agenda as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Take that unanimous as a voice vote. All right. Next up, public participation. Is there anyone here to talk about something that is not currently on the agenda? No? Okay. All right. Let's move to our 6 o'clock RDA. Let me open this up. All right. Notice is hereby given that under the provisions of MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, a public hearing will be held Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022 at 6 p.m. regarding a request for determination of applicability submitted by Savannah Figueroa for work to construct a garden pond, install a dry well for yard runoff, install an above-ground pool, and remove 2 to 3 trees within the riverfront resource area of Piper Brook at 164 Queen Avenue. The Conservation Commission will determine whether the work can be completed under a negative determination of applicability or if the applicant should be required to file a notice of intent. In addition to the publication of this notice and the West Springfield Record, it's also posted on the Massachusetts Newspaper Publishers Association website, and the meeting is being held here in the Justin Morgan Auditorium. All right. So, Savannah, if you wouldn't mind, just come up to the podium and give us your name for the record, and just a brief summary of the project would be fine. There you go.
I'd like to do just a little frog pond in my yard so that my dogs can wade in the summertime and they get hot. The water, for the most part, it always drains towards my house. It pools towards the house, not the other way where the brook is. As far as the pool goes, I would like to put a pool in there. I'm genuinely not quite sure of the stipulations. I'd have to get into more of that, but I do want to put a pool there. As far as the dry well, in the springtime, a lot of the times the water from my house, not from anywhere else, but just the water from the snow and stuff, it pools around my house. So I was thinking to put a small path in a dry well so that way it can just pull the water out and I'm not walking in muck, because it's all in my backyard.
Okay.
And then the trees, they're not right against the brook, but there are trees I'd like to get taken down. A lot of the branches fall, especially when it's windy out, and a couple of them have come pretty close to getting me. So those I would like gone too.
Okay. Have you had a chance to, Mark Noonan, I know is out, but he had written up some potential stipulations for the project. Have you had it, did he share these with you?
No.
Okay, let me give you a copy of these so you can take a look.
Okay.
So I spoke to Mark over the phone about the project. I think he had met with you and talked to you a bit about what you were planning to do.
Yes.
Mark's sense is that this probably could be done under an RDA, a negative determination on an RDA, and then he wrote up some conditions. I'll hand out copies here to everyone else so you guys can take a look at them. But there were 9 conditions of just sort of guidelines that you would follow for the project.
Okay.
And if followed, that was, Mark felt that would be reasonable, that it could work under -3. So the commission will read through these as you do, and if you have any concerns with any of these, Savannah, or questions, you go ahead and ask, and then I want them to familiarize themselves with it, and then we can take questions on the general project if there are any, okay?
Okay. It's gonna take me a moment to read it and
Yeah, that's
go
fine.
through it.
They're a little wordy, so if there's anywhere you're like, what does this really mean?
I'll
I
ask.
can put it in layman's terms for you and just make it plain.
Thank you. Okay. So as far as are you guys ready?
Go ahead.
Okay. So as far as the erosion aspect of it, um, it's not close enough to the edge to get to there to be an erosion issue, especially because we're going to be putting rocks around it, so it's not going to be able to go over on that side. But there is a tree that is on the other side of my fence that has nothing to do with me that is blocking it, so it actually is filling up anyways. I don't know if that matters or not.
Yeah, as you think through, like, for each one of these, like, the first one is really saying, look, the whole point of this review is to make sure that nothing bad happens to the wetland, and the primary point that's called out says, therefore, applicant shall avoid site erosion. So this is really about during construction.
Okay.
So let's say you have a dry well, and that has some, someone's going to dig a hole, and there's going to be a bunch of dirt. We don't want that dirt to wind up into the wetland because, say, there's a really big rainstorm the next day,
Okay.
and it all washes off. So taking measures to make sure that that doesn't happen. So that leads into number 2 that says, hey, if you have soil, it's going to be exposed for more than a day. If it's getting pulled out and not getting dealt with straight away, it describes some things that should get done to make sure that it doesn't make its way to a wetland. So that would be when it talks about things like erosion control barriers or covering the soils. If you were to cover it with a tarp, it's not going to go anywhere. Or if you were to put, say, straw bales around it, the straw will trap the dirt and not let it flow out into the wetland, but it'll let the water out. So that is, one kind of flows into 2 in the sense that, like, don't do anything to mess up the wetland, like, and here's probably the biggest risk, which would be exposed dirt then washing down. The third one basically says, this is only related to the things that you've described in your work plan. So
don't do nothing
you can't
else.
build a house or something that's not in here. The fourth one is basically saying don't put any debris or anything out into the wetland. So let's say you had a contractor and they're putting together the pool and they have some debris from the project, sod, dirt, rocks, whatever. Like, don't dump that in the wetland.
Okay.
Pretty straightforward, right?
Yes.
No heavy equipment. So if for some reason you need like a backloader or some large piece of equipment, make sure that your contractor would know, hey, you can't operate that within 10 feet of the wetland. Keep that away from that area.
Okay.
It says here that you were provided with some information on rain gardens. Did Mark give you that?
I think he did, yes. 'Cause when Yeah, I'd have to go back and reread it, but yes, he did.
Okay, so that's just saying that, like, we're just trying to be helpful. You might want to check it out, okay? And then number 7 is if we need to, you're okay for us going and inspecting the site at some point during construction and see make sure everything's okay. Number 8 says, look, if something goes terribly wrong and there's an emergency, call us. And this
Okay.
is the number you can call us at. And then the last one just asks that before you start doing anything, you just notify us 2 days in advance. That's
So
it.
that's already a problem. So the reason why I'm here is because my brother had actually went there while I was at work, and he started it without me even asking. So it's already dug, and Mark knows about it. I spoke with him about it, so he just told me don't do anything more until now.
Yeah. Till
So
we get through this. So I'm glad I forgot, Mark had mentioned that to me, so it's good you provided that context for how we got to here.
yes,
I would say for number 9, obviously, water that's under the bridge just ain't coming back, so we are where we are.
Yes.
But for future stuff, right? Because like the pool aspect is something that we would be able to okay through this, but that's not something you've started yet, right? So
No.
that would be like another major project like that, you would notify us.
so each time I start one of them, I have to call here.
Yeah.
Even though if everything goes okay and it's good for 3 years, I still have to call and let you guys know ahead of time.
Yeah, that really flows back into we could do an inspection if we wanted to.
Okay.
Where that way, if Mark knows that you're starting part of the project, he might swing by and check it out and just make sure everything looks good, or if something didn't look right, give you some pointers, say like, oh, you better move that material over there, or put some, something down over here on that. So it's just that we can work with you on it, and we don't have to find out after the fact, like, oh, we don't want to have to go back and be like, gee, that shouldn't have gone that way. That way, we know in advance, we can check it in advance and give you any pointers you need to get it done right.
All right.
So that's the conditions. Commissioners, do you have questions for Savannah? Judy?
Hi. Because your brother already started this, does that mean that you're just privately going to make the pond, or are you going to get a contractor?
So we were gonna privately do it. My brother works with people who do that, so he knows what to do, and that's
Okay.
why he's started it.
Okay. Okay, the other question I have is, you were talking about you just want a pond for the dogs and everything. Like, how big, like as big as this circle? Like, how big
No,
do you
it's
think?
a lot
No.
smaller than that. Do you mind if I?
No, I'm just curious, how big? Okay. Okay. All right, I just wanted to get a picture of it. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Thanks, Judy. Any other questions, commissioners? Melissa?
Are you gonna put a liner in?
Yes,
Okay.
to prevent the
Yep.
stuff growing.
Any other questions, commissioners? Judy?
So your brother would be used to working under something like this?
For the
So-
most part, yes.
Yeah,
He
okay.
works underneath somebody, so he
Yeah.
does go and he does the jobs and stuff, but he is, basically, he says, okay, we're gonna do this today, so he knows the process to do it. He may not be completely familiar with all the rules and regulations, which is probably why he started it without asking. So,
Okay, all right, thanks.
I'll pass down sorry, I should have passed this down earlier. There is a diagram and a few photos that were taken, so you can take a look at those. That might help answer more of your questions, Judy.
I'm not familiar with this property. Where is the water according to your house here?
So, it's right on this side, the house, and then that little square next to the house is the porch, and that, yes, and that end is Lower Mass Ave, and if you look in front of the house, that's Queen Avenue. So
Okay.
where the pool is, and then at the corner, the back corner, the pond is gonna be, the, stream is on the other side of there,
Over here?
yes.
Oh, okay. I get the picture. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioners, any questions after reviewing those documents?
No.
Okay, if there are no other comments or questions, anyone in the public? Yeah. Just for your name for the record, please.
Joseph Strauss. I'm Vanna's neighbor on the, behind her house on Mass Avenue. My question is, what are you going to do about that great big willow tree that's in the brook that's been there for about 5 years? It's blown down. Nobody's doing anything about it. I know the people that live in that house can't afford to get rid of it, but it does make a mess when it rains torrential here sometimes. It backs up.
So it backs up the brook?
Yeah, it does back the brook up when it's raining real hard, and the brook tends to go out of its banks clear down to the res a lot of times, even into my backyard. So, but I don't care about the water coming into my yard, but that tree's unsightly and sooner or later it's going to grab more brush, and then you're going to have a dam there. So I think somebody ought to get rid of it. And I'm not going to do it for you, because I would normally do it, but my days of cutting that tree up are done. So, but just a suggestion on my part.
Fair enough. Is everyone familiar with that? So I've seen a previous complaint. I think that one of the challenges is this tree is not on town land.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Otherwise, we could have gotten out there and dealt with it sooner.
I think the town has encountered other situations like that, so I think we need to defer to the conservation agent
On our options.
on our options.
Yeah.
But thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Okay. So if there's nothing else, I'd be looking for a motion to close the hearing.
I move to close the hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that's unanimous. All right, so with hearing closed, next up, we'd be looking at a -3 with the conditions that you've all reviewed.
I move to issue a -3 determination for 164 Queen Ave with the conditions as outlined.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's 4 with 1 abstaining. But you only need 4. If you guys could pass everything back up there. Just that, yeah, I want to put the stuff all back together. Thank you, John. And that's the pictures and whatnot. All right, so let me pull this out. And I'm gonna need to get signatures on this somewhere. I'll find them. I'm not used to operating without help. All right, well, Savannah, you're all set. We'll follow up with Mark. All right, let's move on to the request for an extension of an order of conditions. Judy, we counted you as an abstention on that one. Business has to move. Okay. All right, so Connor, I think you're gonna enlighten us on this one.
Absolutely. Good evening. So as part of the Phase 1 sewer expansion project, there was a concern that some right-of-way might not have been obtained at the time of bidding. So we broke it up into a contract with some ad alternates. As it turned out, we did not acquire the appropriate right-of-way at that time, so we only did the base contract in Ad Alt 1, and that left out Cynthia Drive and Apricot Hill. We have since received the easement to work on Apricot Hill, which would bring it into the 1609 Piper Road pump station. And that part we hope to do in a Phase 2 part of the project. So we were hoping that we could extend the order of conditions from the Phase 1 and apply it to Phase 2. Would be the same work, no changes to the plans, nothing that would alter the site as it exists. We would just be bringing the pipe to an existing manhole outside the delineated wetlands or wetlands buffer. I spoke with the conservation agent for West Springfield. I spoke to Mark, and he agreed that there hasn't been any significant changes to the plans, and assuming that the wetlands haven't changed in their delineations from what they were 3 years ago, it'd be more expedient to extend the order conditions to allow this phase of work to be done under the same conditions.
Okay, questions?
Time frame?
The current easement is only for 3 years, I believe, and we're already, I believe, 4 months into that easement. So we're hoping to put this project out to bid within the next few months and hopefully either start this fall or approach it this upcoming spring. And considering the time limit on that easement, we would probably focus on having that portion of the work done first. And in that way, we would also be able to apply for a certificate of, the word escapes me at the moment, a certificate of compliance for this order of conditions, and we would submit the entire package for Phase 1 and Phase 2 and the record as-built plans for those projects all at the same time.
Okay. Any other questions? No? All right. Is there a motion on the floor to approve the extension?
Do we have to have a date that we're extending it to?
You know what? Good point, Danny. I think we do need to give an actual date.
Just
I
3
might have
years from
asked.
today,
I might have asked for 2 years on that. It might be on the letter I wrote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me actually read that into the record. I should have done that. Sorry. Town of West Springfield Public Works requesting extension of the order of conditions in response to NOI 3300371 issued on 11/13/2019. This request is for a 2-year extension past the original expiration date. No new work is proposed, and everything else that Connor described for us already is then stated here. So 2-year extension. It was issued November 13th, 2019. So it's going to expire in November of this year, so we'd be pushing it to November of 2024? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
I move to issue a 2-year extension for the order of conditions for 3300371.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that's unanimous. And I have the signature page up here for everyone. Thanks, Connor.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
All right. All right. There is no other business for the meeting. Anything else anyone wants to raise, discuss, or chat about? All right, in that case, we'll close the meeting for today. Thanks, everyone, for attending. Commissioners, don't forget to come up and sign. Thank you, everyone.